So you draft me in the 5th round. The owner says that you don't want me. Then you put me out there with the 4th string O-line in the final preseason game in a crowded quarterback room and expect me to do something. Man, say no more. Welcome back to Say No More Media. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and appreciate you tapping in. Now let's get straight into it. Shedeur Sanders was out there running for his life, 5 total sacks and what looked like the 4th string O-line. And I'm telling you, if you really believe that this was a fair assessment heading into the 2025 NFL preseason, I don't know how much I can really take about this anymore. Now let's dive deep into this pause. As we know, there is a very crowded quarterback room in Cleveland that consists of Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Shedeur Sanders, right? We also realize that in the history of the NFL, nobody has ever taken 2 quarterbacks within the first to 5 rounds other than the Cleveland Browns and added to like 4 other organizations that have done this in the history of the NFL. We understand that the owner has already come out and publicly scrutinized the quarterback and said, this isn't the guy, this isn't who we wanted, this is who the general manager drafted. Now, let's look at his draft class. You got Cam Ward, the 1st overall pick, who is out there in Tennessee. We know he's the man. He's getting first-team reps. He's working with the first-team offense, the first-team O-line. He's also going against the first-team defense, and he's out there getting experience reps. Let's go to Jackson Dart, who was my favorite quarterback entering into the 2025 NFL draft. Yes, he is behind Russell Wilson. Yes, he is competing with Jameis Winston, but they are giving him the opportunities, the organization. Everybody is showing him that he is the future of the franchise. He is going to be somebody that they're grooming to take over, for the franchise. That's why they drafted him so high. What's going on in Cleveland, I really, truly do not understand. And I just, at this point, don't understand, especially with the end of the preseason and them going to look to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Now, just watching this previous game against the Rams, Shedeur did take accountability for, he could have did things better, some reads, holding on to the ball a little bit too long in the pocket. Some things that we want to see him improve on, coming from Jackson State and Colorado, heading into the NFL. You can't make all the plays, right? But there are certain things that go on behind the scenes that we really don't understand, and I'm going to help break that down right now. When you're in a quarterback competition, right, and we have a 3rd round pick, which is Dillon Gabriel, didn't show his best in his first performance, nothing like what Shedeur was able to do in his preseason performance. But psychologically, we have to understand how this wears on a quarterback when he clearly came out and did 2 turnovers, threw for no touchdowns, and he still was ahead of him on the depth chart. What does this say to you as a player, despite 5th round, 2nd round, 1st round? If I'm outperforming somebody based on preseason and you still are putting him ahead of me on the depth chart, what does that do psychologically to a quarterback? Then you pair that with the play calling. Who's out there protecting as far as the offensive line? Who is out there when you get sacked 5 times, when you have Joe Flacco who starts, Dillon Gabriel, and then Shedeur Sanders? I don't even know if any of them touch the floor as much as Shedeur Sanders. 5 times, that's crazy. You can't pair all of that with him holding on to the ball for too long. Some of that was, we understand this is the NFL preseason. And yes, everything is not about Shedeur Sanders. I got to make that clear. The Cleveland Browns organization are scouting and they're trying to give jobs to however many players are trying to make the 53-man roster. This is not the Shedeur Sanders experiment. It's not all wrapped around him. And they had offensive linemen that they were clearly trying to see how they held up in pass blocking situations, how they picked up on the blitzes. It just so happened that Shedeur Sanders happened to be out there at the same time with the linemen who are looking, the offensive linemen who are looking to make not only the team, but maybe even the practice squad. And as you can see, the 5 sacks, the negative 43 yards in sack total yardage was crazy. But again, this is not all about Shedeur Sanders and them trying to evaluate him. They were also evaluating the offensive line, and they left them out there 4-on-4 versus defensive line, and the Rams defensive line just dominated them. And that did not allow for Shedeur Sanders to be able to put up a performance that you would want for him to have in the third preseason game because of the timing he didn't have. Everything he was trying to do, he was trying to make something out of nothing, and he was under constant pressure, throughout the game. Now, this is very different for Shedeur, coming from always playing for his dad, always playing in a system that we knew no matter what, he didn't have to worry about getting cut. He didn't have to worry about making the team, So I do believe that this adversity that he's going through with the Browns is ultimately only going to make him better. And I definitely feel like he's built for this. But seeing the other quarterbacks and where they're at and how the organization is treating them, this definitely just does not feel, like it's favorable at all for Shedeur Sanders. There's been talk about Stefanski possibly looking to ruin his career. This is all allegedly, this is not my words. This is, based on the organization. But I think if you pair the owner coming out and saying that they never wanted to draft him, then you got the Dillon Gabriel comments about, there's entertainers and there's people who play ball. Like, dealing with this as a rookie is crazy when you also have to learn the playbook. You don't know what offensive line you're going out with. If you're working with the second team, third team, fourth team, never getting any real reps with the first team, never really having any real offensive arsenal around you when it comes to your receivers and tight ends. But at the end of the day, we know that Shedeur is going to make the 53-man roster, and we also know that the Browns are looking to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. So don't be surprised if you do not see Shedeur Sanders in the NFL game this year, because honestly, if you're looking from a fan's perspective, it looks like they want Joe Flacco to start. If anything, they're going to push for Dillon Gabriel to be, the second string quarterback. And then if all else fails, Kenny Pickett gets healthy, he returns, it's Kenny Pickett time. But as far as Shedeur, I don't know what the plan is. I honestly hope that they release him and let him get picked up by another organization, because we know for 35 years the Cleveland Browns have not been the best organization for quarterbacks. But drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this whole Shedeur Sanders situation out there in Cleveland. As you know,